Hello and welcome. This is my 2021 Schwinn AL Comp. I bought it in November of 2021 with the intent to turn it into a winter road bike. I did so, but ended up only riding it a couple of times due to a very weird winter last season. So, I have now chosen a different path. After all, I'm not really locked into anything. All in all, the AL Comp is a pretty darn good bike for under $300. As I have said before, you just have to realize that it is not suited for bombing down black diamond trails in stock form. The stock fork is okay only for the greenest of green off-road trails, smoothish multiple-use trails, or pavement. As planned way back when I bought the bike, I'm finally installing the SR Suntour XCM fork that came on my Polygon Siskiu. Sure, it's a spring fork, but it has a manual lockout. And it has 120 millimeters of travel. Now, frankly, I rode it on any trail I wanted to on the Siskiu with no problems whatsoever before I upgraded to an air fork. The fork will require use of this $17 Risk headset conversion kit that I got on eBay because the AL Comp has a tapered head tube, but the stock fork and the replacement both have straight steerer tubes. The kit has sealed bearings, upper and lower bearing cups, and lower crown races for both straight and tapered forks. As you can see, I have already removed the front wheel and fork. It's simply a matter of removing the brake caliper, handlebar with the controls still attached, and the stem. That's all pretty routine, so I chose not to waste your time with it. Using a cup removal tool, I removed the lower cup with a bit of a false start since the tool wasn't quite wide enough for the larger lower cup. You can use other things like large screwdrivers and punches, but this is the best way in my view. The upper cup came out really well, although I think I launched it halfway across the yard. The upper cup was super easy to install using a little bit of grease and my bearing cup press. It went in nice and smooth, and it just sat completely all the way around first try. I ran into a bit of an issue though with the lower cup. As you can see, it just slid right in by hand. But that's not good. There's a lot of play and I can actually wiggle it in the head tube. And that can only lead to problems down the road. As it turned out, the sealed bearing fit in the stock cup, so I just reinstalled it. Had I known beforehand, I would have just left it in place. Oh well, live and learn. After installing the cups and the bearings with a bit of preemptive grease, not really needed, but ain't gonna hurt nothing, I installed the fork with the included split ring crown race. It fit like a glove. And honestly, I pretty much knew it would, but there's always that tiniest seed of doubt until you see a project come together. One thing that I did not allow for is the difference in steerer tube length between the stock and replacement forks. The Suntour is about 10 millimeters shorter. Not a lot, not a big deal. I just inverted the stem to provide a little bit more rise. Then it was just a question of reattaching the handlebar and the brake caliper, and Robert's your mother's brother. I'm very pleased with how this upgrade turned out, if I say so myself. I have said before that the AL Comp is a good bike, burdened by components intended to accommodate a low price point. Since I got this bike, I converted the rear wheel to a quick release axle, and I installed Goodyear trail tires, a Shimano SLX rear derailleur, a Shimano 2x crankset with external bearings, better nylon pedals, a WTB saddle on an alloy Uno seat tube, lock-on comfort grips, a 720mm carbon fiber handlebar, and of course, a better fork. Not only is the XCM fork a better unit than the stock fork, it's actually lighter. The stock fork weighs 3,062 grams, and the XCM weighs 2,850 grams, for a reduction of 212 grams. Okay, that's not a huge reduction, but it all helps, right? I took the bike for a ride to the corner store and everything worked as it should. I'm really impressed by how much smoother the sealed bearings are than the stock caged bearings. So much so, in fact, I'm looking into replacing the bearings on my other mountain bikes. On a different note, when I was reattaching the carbon fiber handlebar, I noticed some abrasion and some surface checking on the clamping surface. I'm not entirely comfortable with that, so I'm going to get an alloy bar for the bike before I take it for a trail ride. Otherwise, I have no complaints about this upgrade. If you want to know more about this bike, there is a playlist linked lower left. There's also a link to another video that I think you will enjoy, lower right. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I truly do appreciate that. Goodbye and have a great day.